And right now, we are 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Romaine Bostick here with Katie Greifeld, taking you through to that closing bell with a global simulcast. It starts now. Carol Massar and Tim Stenovec in the radio booth. Welcome to our audiences across all of our Bloomberg platforms, including our partnership with YouTube and S&P 500 with only 108 names in the green. But that's good enough to push the entire index into the green and to a record high.
Isn't it amazing as we get ready for so many big earnings? And I feel like as we have conversations, there's still questions about the outlook out there. But having said that, you're right. We are on track for another record close here on Wall Street.
So what's the disconnect between what's happening out there in the economy and what's happening out there in the market? We just had Danielle DiMartino Booth on the program over at QI Research, and she said asset prices, they're surging despite the weakness that we're seeing in the labor market. It's a disconnect that the Fed is going to have to deal with at its policy meeting. We're going to hear from Fed Chair Jay Powell tomorrow.
Yeah, cannot wait. Of course, that meeting kicked off today, and it'll be interesting to hear him weigh in on the economy, some of the policymakers' views around that. As we are well aware, the government is still shut down. We're not getting any official updates, but even still, this central bank has to make policy amid all this fog.
But this has to be kind of a difficult one, right? Because we talk about financial conditions. I don't know what argument you can make the financial conditions are tight, given what we've seen, not only in equity markets, but in other asset classes as well. But then you overlay that with the labor market, where we're not getting official data. But how many sort of job cut announcements have we heard just in the last couple of weeks? I mean, tens of thousands of workers, and we're not even halfway through this earnings season.
No, it's a really good point, right? It's hard to ignore them, and it does feel like the momentum is building in terms of jobs being cut at companies, Romaine.
I just want to point out, too, of course, Nvidia has dominated the headlines all day long. We continue to get additional headlines out of Jensen, Huang, and the other folks at Nvidia. An interesting one crossing the wire right now with Jensen Huang saying that the government has not offered to take a stake in the company. We're going to talk a little bit more about Nvidia, which helps to lead the charge, pushing the S&P and the NASDAQ to record highs. The S&P up 16 points or 0.2%. The NASDAQ composite up 190 points or 0.8%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average up 160 points or 0.3%. While the Russell 2000, that's getting left out in the cold on the day, down 14 points or 0.5 percentage point.
All right, we do have some earnings crossing the wire right now. This coming from Booking Holdings here. And here are some of the headlines. Third quarter adjusted EBITDA coming in at $4.23 billion. That is a beat for Booking, at least on that line item. The estimate had been for $4 billion. Third quarter gross bookings coming in at $49.7 billion. That's also a beat of expectations that were just a hair below $48 billion. And the nights sold, when it comes to the third quarter, the room nights sold coming in at 323 million. That is also ahead of expectations. You can see the after hours trade, though, not too much reaction yet. We'll have to parse through that. But again, a beat when it comes to adjusted EBITDA.
All right, guys, let's as we wait for some more earnings, just a couple of the big outperformers in today's session. PayPal at its highs up almost 13%, finishing the day with a gain of about 4%, a top gainer in both the S&P 500, NASDAQ 100. Company raising its full-year earnings guidance and announced a tie-up with OpenAI to embed its digital wallet into ChatGPT, sending its shares up the most in more than 6 months. So a big deal there. Nokia, speaking of deals, thank you very much, Nvidia. We did see Nokia ADRs that trade in the U.S. soaring in today's session, up about 22%. Nvidia planning to make a $1 billion equity investment in Nokia. That's, as we have reported out, kind of a vindication that Nokia's pivot from mobile networking kit into AI by the sector's kingmaker. I mean, listen, that is a big endorsement from Nvidia for Nokia. And then UPS, just want to point that one out, up almost 8% in today's session, smashing Wall Street's profit expectations. The company cutting costs. They have been on that maneuver for a while. They cut 34,000 jobs this year, which goes to what Romaine was talking about earlier about the job cuts that we are seeing at the company's closing owned buildings. It's all this cost cutting initiative. They expect to achieve $3.5 billion in total year-over-year cost savings in this year alone. So investors liking that.
Can I just add an honorable mention? Wayfair, 23% jump today, Carol Massar. Highest, best day, I should point out, going back to January of 2023. I heard you had the CEO on earlier today, right? Or the CFO.
Yeah, Kate Gulliver joined us for an extended conversation. She was, look, this company absolutely surging this year. Remember, it's a marketplace, so they're not like actually seeing the they don't have the inventory.
Yeah.
They're a marketplace that connects buyers and sellers.
Yeah.
But she's saying, you know, she's she's optimistic. She's really optimistic, and she was obviously pleased with today's performance.
Yeah, I guess Carol Masters has been buying a lot of pillows.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not allowed to buy anymore.
No,
apparently.
I'm not allowed to.
Yeah.
My husband's like, there's no more room on the bed.
Okay.
Romaine, thanks for
I'm
watching.
Team Mr. Master there.
Thanks for watching the show,
pillows.
Romaine.
I don't know what it is with you women and pillow. I got 38 pillows in my bed, and I'm only allowed to sleep on
Just
one.
38?
I'm always like, don't touch them, don't touch them.
I know. I was like, what? And the only one I'm allowed to touch is like the worst pillow. I don't know what's happening.
It's so true.
Okay, let's go to some of the decliners before we get some more earnings,
How many
guys.
pillows do you have, Katie?
I actually only have 4 on my bed, which is
Okay.
interesting.
All right, you got to step it up.
She's only been married a little bit, right? Like a few years
I've been
now.
married like 8 years.
Oh, well, come on, step up your game,
really?
girl.
All right, all right.
JetBlue shares falling close to 12% today. The company talked about the challenges that it would have through the holiday travel season, rising fuel prices, hurricane, a U.S. government shutdown. Executives, though, said demand for premium offerings is stronger compared with the main cabin as air travel rebounds. Investors, though, growing impatient with executives' ability to meet cost-cutting targets. Once again, JetBlue down about 12%. And then watching what happened with a couple gaming stocks today. DraftKings down 5.5%. Flutter Entertainment, it's the parent company of parent company of FanDuel, down 3%. Those companies extended a decline following a Bloomberg report that Polymarket is preparing to return to the U.S. in the coming weeks to focus on sports betting, but shares were already down because Trump Media and Technology said it plans to make prediction contracts available on its Truth Social network. That's called, or will be called, Truth Predict, which is interesting because there are other companies out there that do this, but they have relationships with the Trump family already, like Kalshi and Polymarket as well. So it's getting a little crowded when it comes to those predictions. And finally, VF Corp down 12.2%. Biggest intraday decline going back months. The North Face and Vans owner issued third quarter adjusted operating guidance that missed the consensus expectations. Shares once again down 12.2%.
All right, let's do a quick check on yields here. I mean, they actually went nowhere, but I really just want to use this as an excuse to remind everyone. Actually, a Fed meeting started today. I know everyone was focused about 15, 20 blocks away down in Washington, D.C., where Jensen Huang was giving that keynote address. But this is a pretty pivotal meeting, not so much as to what they do tomorrow, but what they telegraph here for the potential rate cuts that could be ahead for the rest of the year and into 2026 here. So a bit of a holding pattern as we wait for that decision. Let's go back to earnings right now with Mondelez crossing the wire right now. All your fan favorites there under that umbrella of the food company, including Oreos. Operating margin looks like it did come in above estimates. Adjusted EPS also looked like it came in above estimates. 73 cents a share. The street was looking for 71 cents a share. The revenue relatively in line with estimates at $9.74 billion. That's pretty much what the street was looking for there. Adjusted gross margin, though, coming in light, and that might be the reason why you're actually seeing the shares lower in the after-hours trade. 30% adjusted gross margin. The street was looking for about 33.1%, so almost a 3 percentage point difference here from what they reported and what the street was looking for.
All right, we got more earnings crossing. I want to start with EA reporting net bookings for the second quarter that missed the average analyst estimate. I don't know. The net bookings came in at $1.82 billion. The estimate was for $1.88 billion. Total net revenue at $1.84 billion. The estimate was for $1.81 billion. As you can imagine, we're not seeing shares move that much in the after hours, considering this transaction is in progress, but down about just ever so fractionally in the after hours.
All right, guys, let me just get to Frontier Communications. Stock up about 8% here in 2025. Frontier, third quarter revenue, slight beat, $1.55 billion. The estimate on the street was $1.54 billion. Third quarter adjusted EBITDA of $637 million. That too was some outperformance in terms of the number. $596.5 million was what the street was looking at for. Right now, that stock's unchanged. So we'll look for some more headlines on this one.
Yeah, and let's also zoom in on Visa here, also reporting earnings. Their fourth quarter adjusted EPS beat estimates. That came in at $2.98. The estimate had been for $2.97, so a very slight beat there. And then you take a look at some of the other headlines coming through. Fourth quarter net revenue came in at $10.7 billion. Again, slightly ahead of estimates, which were for about $10.6 billion. So very slight beats overall. You can see that the stock not too much direction right now, down slightly in after-hours trade to the tune of about 1% right now.
Let's take a look at Enphase, the solar company whose stock was down almost 50% year-to-date coming in today, now moving lower in the after-hours trade. For the third quarter, adjusted EPS did beat 90 cents a share. The street was looking for 65 cents on average. Revenue, though, in the quarter also beat 410 million. The street was looking for 364. Here's your guidance, though. The company says that for the fourth quarter, revenue will be in a range of 310 to 350 million dollars. The top end of that range is well below the average of street estimates for 381 million. That does appear to be why you're seeing some weakness in the shares.
Yep, continuing to be down about 1.5% here in the aftermarket.